Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. So today we're going to be checking out a brand new Kickstarter that just went live called Dokimon, which is a monster taming game, but the caveat here is that it also comes with or doesn't come with necessarily, but the Kickstarter itself has bundled with it a Monster Tamer Maker that is something that's supposed to be similar to RPG Maker in nature, but specifically catered towards monster taming games. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my opinions on the idea of having such an easy tool to make monster taming games. We will get through the Kickstarter first, and I'll sort of talk about that. But basically, this would lower the bar or what is required in order to actually get into the development process in order to make a game. So I'll talk about that in a bit, but we're gonna be starting off with what's Dokimon, and then what is the Monster Tamer Maker and all that stuff. If you don't know, Yanako is if I pronounce that correctly, is a developer behind New Monsters and is currently working on the Pokemon Johto redrawn, not ROM hack, but like fan game where like you can ride the monsters and stuff. I did talk about it a while back in Monster Tamer News. I'm gonna leave all social media linked below so you can take a look at that. But anyways, Dokimon is a game about curious little creatures that suddenly started appearing in the modern world after a close case with an asteroid collision. Dokimon are living creatures that seem to take on the form of anything earthly, but in curious ways. Experience a unique, personalized adventure alongside your new friends and uncover the secrets this mysterious new species has to offer. And then this is where it ties into the Monster Tamer Maker. Monster Tamer Maker will be a tool similar to RPG Maker, yet significantly less limiting. Dokimon, the game, will serve as a reference point for builders, as the entirety of the game will be completely open source. All assets that make up Dokimon, art, music, and everything else, will be available with full commercial use licenses. Monster Tamer Maker will feature a quick and easy to use game building technique that have been fine-tuned for years of teaching entry game makers, and no coding experience will be necessary to start making your games. If you still have doubts, there will be a video tutorial series for the game making engine on launch, as well as active helper channels in the Discord. Outside of Dokimon assets, feel free to also import custom assets as you please, or even export Dokimon assets to other game engines. More on this later. We'll talk about the stretch goals now. Okay, so if you don't know what RPG Maker is, it's basically like a drag and drop program. There are also like, I don't want to say mods, but there are also like, for example, there's like the Pokemon Essentials, which is something in RPG Maker that basically has all the Pokemon stuff set up. That's how Pokemon games like Reborn, Uranium, and Xenoverse, I think Xenoverse as well, are made. Like they're made with the Pokemon Essentials sort of engine in RPG Maker. I'm assuming there are going to be like engines like that as well that are able to be made through this new Monster Tamer Maker. But this looks like it's going to have a lot of stuff sort of already set up for you guys. So we're going to skip past the stretch goals. If you want to see the stretch goals, you can definitely check out the Kickstarter. It will be linked below. Let's talk about art. In this project, we are carefully engineering the colors in our artwork to allow for true palette swapping. When creating games, this allows you to choose from a large array of colors for any monster, character, item, building, tree, etc. Everything will be completely customizable at your disposal. For Dokimon, this will allow you to choose from any color palette you want for whichever playable character you'd like us to play as. We're aiming to have 20 plus playable characters, each with 10 swappable color palettes to choose from. Additionally, the palettes will have a night alternative to allow for night cycles in your game. See below. Dokimon Campaign. Dokimon will feature a story where the people of the world shall band together to uncover all the secrets behind the creatures that have made their way to the Earth. It's said that a new Dokimon are being discovered all the time, and their existence alongside earthly planets and animals reveals an interesting twist. Monster Tamer Maker will have many systems and tools in place and are directly used in creating Dokimon, so creators will have no problem creating stories of their own. Combat. Both Dokimon and Monster Tamer Maker will feature fully fleshed out Monster Tamer style battling. We're including all of your favorite features, including but not limited to large customizable monster move pools, 6 statistics, 12 elemental types planned, 70 monsters, speed priority system, statuses, and abilities. Monster Tamer Maker will, I almost wonder if they should have named it just Monster Maker. That kind of rolls off the tongue better. Will allow you to customize how you'd like your game's battle system to work. You'll be free to make it as simple or as complex as you please. If goals are met, we will also be adding multiple other battle systems to choose from as well, each with video tutorials on how to properly implement them. Now, this is just like a basic thing. I know there's like the thing in the middle that looks like a Pokeball. I think this is actually taken from the Pokemon fan game that Yanako's making. So I think that's why it looks like this. Yeah, I don't know. This background might not be a good idea because people are going to instantly be like, oh, it's a Pokemon clone maker. In Monster Tamer Maker, Battle UI will be fully customizable, as well as monsters' base stats, names, move pools, experience groups, and catch rates, and everything else. Custom moves and move animations will also be easy to make and add. And then you have like the summary screen here. I'm not gonna go through all this. You guys can check this out, like why Kickstarter and all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about what my thoughts are on the idea. I'm gonna start with, so combining Dokimon with the Monster Tamer Maker kind of makes sense because Dokimon's gonna be like a basically like showing what is possible with this engine. I'm hoping it doesn't confuse too many people, because I could definitely see people getting confused, like, wait, is Dokimon a game or is it not a game? I think what it is it's a game that is made with this engine that you'll be able to use as a base should you so please. So with regards to having Monster Tamer Maker, now, I'm back and forth with it, right? Like, I did back it myself because I do think it's interesting, and like I'm gonna need early access anyway to make videos, but like, about Dokimon. So, but this is my concern, and it's something that already kind of exists with RPG Maker. So in my experience, I found that for every like one really good RPG Maker game, like Disc Creatures or obviously like the Pokemon fan games, there's like 1,000 really, really bad ones that like don't use any new assets, use basic RPG Maker builds, are just broken in general. Like you can look up videos of talking about like how RPG Maker having such a low bar to entry ends up creating an influx of really poorly put together games, because if literally a 6-year-old could make a Monster Tamer game, that's what's going to happen. So for me, as someone who covers lots of different monster taming games, like, I think this is good because it will allow for some people that maybe aren't very code savvy to be able to make games, because again, those Pokemon fan games, I'm sure there's some of them that can't code, right? But these games are still able to exist. Or there's something like Disc Creatures that's awesome and it's made in RPG Maker. I think it'll allow some of the really talented artists in the community to actually be able to make their games, and those games could end up being really good because they already have good art assets. But on the other hand, I do think it'll cause a large saturation in really bad games, which could give a negative look to the genre. So I'm kind of like back and forth on this, and that's something I really want to see your guys' opinions on in the comments, because for me, if suddenly there's 1,000 different monster taming games to cover, I can't cover them all. I already cover the games that I personally find more interesting, but what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people telling me, oh, I want you to cover my game, I want you to cover my game, but then there's going to be a lot of games that I don't really think are up to like snuff with the other games, and then that's going to cause a lot of like drama, like, oh, Ed didn't cover my game because he said it's bad. But it's like, if there's 1,000 monster taming games to cover, which I don't think this thing will get that popular. It could, but it very well could. I'm sure there's at least 1,000 people who watch my videos that want to make a monster taming game. So let's say there's like 1,000 different games for me to cover. There's already 100. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be like, you know, looking at monster tamer games, and they might find games that are like, let's say, less up to snuff. And then they're just going to be like, well, look at all these bad monster taming games that like literally a bunch of children made. And it's just that's my little worry with it. Like, it might get the same rap as RPG Maker, where like a lot of people just won't play any RPG Maker games at all because of how many games that saturate the engine that aren't very good, because like they're like kind of you can't really like fault some people too much, because like a lot of those games are made by literal kids. Like, you know, kids want to mess around and kids want to make their games. So I'm hoping it doesn't cause too much of a saturation in one specific genre, because like RPGs are a genre, but they also encompass a lot of subgenres, whereas monster taming is more of like a specific niche. So I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm a little concerned. I'm also excited because I think this could open the door to a lot of really cool games that maybe otherwise couldn't exist. but I'm also a little worried about the huge wave of games and people wanting, all of them to be covered, and me being someone who just can't cover every single game, and then having games that aren't very good or just like, like cut and pasted together using default assets. And I don't know, it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of, it could be a lot of headache. So let me know what you guys think. That was sort of the best way I could explain it, not scripted, just kind of like spitting out my thoughts. And I do think this could end up being a good thing. I do also think it could end up being a bad thing. It all depends on what kind of games we see in the community and how like we as content creators and those developers go about it. So yeah, anyways, all that said, let me know what you think. And special thanks to my patrons, Jim Hamilton, Steel Case, Dro Ghost, and Dark Persona especially. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.